everybody, welcome back to the channel. So if you're new here, we've been working through a renovation on this 1956 Calcraft, and if you're a regular here, you've noticed that we've been off for a few weeks. So I did a little painting. You know, I'm sure that some of you are already heading for the unsubscribe button, but yes, I painted the ceiling white, polar bear white actually. And that was always our plan from the beginning, and I'm actually really happy with how it looks. So, you know, I'll save you the boring details of watching me paint that, but if you're looking for some exciting painting action, you can go back in our videos and watch doing some of our interior work on our previous camper. In this week's video, we thought we would talk about what we're doing on the interior because we've decided to go ahead and move ahead with that. And, you know, we didn't get to the skin like we thought we were going to. It just got too cold, and honestly, this is the more correct way to do it. Put your interior in while you can still access everything from the outside, and that'll definitely make electrical easier to do. So let's talk a little bit about that SketchUp. Okay, so I'm going to remove these walls here real quick so we can see on the inside. There we go. That's pretty good. So the one thing I'll say is, you know, there is a big closet in there, and it makes it kind of hard to see the rest of it, so I'm just going to knock that out of the way. But just remember, there's a big box right in the middle that's going to be a closet. There we go. That makes it a little easier to understand what's going on, and I really like that aspect of SketchUp that you can hide certain things that are distracting so you can get a good feel for what's actually there. So let's talk a little bit about this dinette. So most campers of this era, and even a lot of campers today, will have a table that drops down between two benches, and then the cushions will fold in to make a nice flat area where you can sleep. In our last camper, the Playmore 140, we decided not to put that dinette back in because we never really expected to use it as a dinette, and so just having it as a converted bed all the time was easier, and that made sense in that camper. And I think in this one, though, which is a little bit larger camper, and we do have that nice big closet, we've got a lot more storage space in there, and I also kind of like the dinette the way it was in there, so we're going to rebuild that. Also, this cabinet that goes above the dinette, I believe we'll be putting that back. You know, it's not a lot of storage, but it does make for kind of a nice area to toss a lot of commonly used items. The other side was where someone had installed a freshwater tank, and I believe that was a later addition. I don't believe that was original. Didn't look like it anyway. I'm not going to be putting a freshwater tank back there, but I will be putting my electrical converter box and fuse panel and stuff like that. I'll be putting that in that area. We will have a water tank, but it will be removable, similar to what we did in the previous Playmore 140. But it will be in the kitchenette, I believe, is where I'm planning on putting it. Because I think we've got plenty of room there to do that. So let's talk a little bit about our kitchenette. I'm going to be essentially reusing the upper cabinets because I like the size and I like the design of them. I'm going to rebuild them though, because the original ones, they're a little worse for the wear, and you know, the finish, I'd have to strip the finish, and that's a whole thing, and I actually think it'll be quicker to just rebuild them. They're pretty simple. Down below is going to be an area where I take a little bit of creative liberty. We're not reusing the original stove. Part of that is because it's pretty rusty, and it would be a whole project to restore it just in and of itself. Had an oven, which would be great if you were making a casserole or turkey dinner or something in one of these. I won't be putting the oven back in. I will be replacing it with a 2-burner cooktop. So that's going to free up some space in the lower part of this cabinet where the oven had been. There had also originally been an icebox in there, and while I love the look of the icebox, I don't especially love the idea of using the icebox. So we will be replacing that with just a mini fridge, and it will go in basically the same spot as the icebox. I should be able to reuse the original sink that was in here. I don't think I'll be reusing the original faucet, but I haven't exactly made a decision on those kind of finishing details yet. One thing you might notice in my SketchUp is this cylinder that's next to the sink. And I had kind of originally considered doing what I've seen in some sort of kind of minimalist campers where the water system essentially consists of a tank that's elevated and then the water just pours out of it when you open the spigot. I was considering doing that with a Berkey that would just drain into that sink. But in thinking through the systems a little more, the plumbing in our previous camper was really easy. Just used those jerry cans, drained it into another one for a gray water tank. The thing I didn't like about that is I didn't like having the gray water tank under the kitchen cabinet because it kind of takes up a lot of room. The way a lot of people with these vintage campers operate is they drain their gray water into like a cassette tank that sits on the ground, or a 5-gallon bucket is, the simple way. And then you go and dump that when it gets full. And that way it's outside of your camper. If there's any kind of smell, you don't have it inside when you're in there. So I think that's what we're going to do. Also, after I had done the water system in the other camper, I realized that adding a city water inlet is really pretty simple. And, for the small amount of work it would take to add that and the way it works with water pump and everything versus always filling up outside at the spigot, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to add a city water inlet. I'm still going to have a portable, like 7-gallon water tank that can be filled up anywhere, and just store that under the kitchen cabinet, probably where the oven had been. Draw water out of there using a water pump, just like I did in the last one. But the gray water will drain into a separate exterior tank, so I don't have to devote a bunch of space to that inside here. I think that's simple. I think that's the way to do it. So there's probably not a whole lot that needs to be said about the bed. It's going to be a bed, and basically it's a platform. It's a flat surface that a mattress goes on and you sleep on it. Originally there had been a little hatch that you could open on the front side of that. I may or may not put that back. It didn't seem particularly useful, but I am going to allow it to lift, so I'll have to figure out how some pistons work for that. So that'll make it real convenient to get under the bed without having to, dismantle everything. And there's quite a bit of storage back there, but you don't want to overload the back end of a camper because that can be dangerous for towing. So, deciding how to divide that up in a way that's useful for like clothing or something that wouldn't be that heavy is kind of the important thing there. One thing I'll have to do is they've got kind of a weird, the way the back end comes down and meets the decking, because they brought the curved paneling all the way down under that bed, and the decking actually stops right after the wheels, the axle. So I think I'm going to have to kind of flatten that out and add a little support there to make that a little more accessible. And of course, it'll also have an area that's boxed in for the exterior hatch. Other than that, it's going to be pretty simple. I think I'm going to do the same kind of memory foam mattress, cut down to size, and sew another box cushion cover for it. Because those worked out really well, and I was really happy with them. 6-inch memory foam. It's like sleeping at home. Okay, so let's talk about what we're intending for the sort of design finish of this. We definitely want this one to feel bright and feel open, and we're going to go for kind of a minimalist aesthetic in here. Have sort of been wanting to do some cabinets like this for a while, and now that I get to do them, I'm pretty happy about that. But I think everything's going to come together really nice. I think it's going to feel light and airy and open, minimal in its own way, and I think it's going to also be very functional. The one thing I haven't talked about is the closet. The closet is a big box with a big door and some shelves. So I hope you've enjoyed this little look at what we're planning for the interior of this camper. I know I'm very excited to be moving on to this next stage. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure and hit that little notification bell so you find out as soon as we post our next video, and we'll see you then.